I'll call the police station, Freetown Police Station committee meeting to order. First up is approval of minutes, but we don't have any right now, so we're good with that. And next, I'll turn it over to Taylor for a construction update.
Great. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to drive by the site now, but they started clearing last week and have been working pretty quickly. The site is, pretty much what we thought it would be. We knew there'd be some potatoes in there and stones and some bigger rocks, which we've uncovered. The trees have been taken down. So the next part will be the stumping and grubbing operation that'll start. They'll get the site down to a workable subgrade, and from there they'll start digging for foundations. So right now, the project is going through the site plan review process. We have our meeting next week, and after that, the building permit will be issued. We do have approval from the building inspector to start the work that we have started, all the way up to excavation of foundations. So he is okay with us doing that work, and then once we get our final building permit, we'll be able to start the foundation work itself, the forms and the concrete. So that's probably pretty much going to be what you're going to see out there for the next 1 to 2 weeks, is the clearing and grubbing and getting down to subgrade to a workable grade that they can start their foundations at. So haven't encountered any issues as of yet. Everything's been, like I said, pretty much what we've expected since we did all the geotech testing there and exploration. So no surprises yet, and we'll keep moving on.
Okay. Next is the project schedule update.
That was, pretty much one and the
You all
same.
set?
Yeah.
Okay.
One quick
questions?
question. Well permit. Have you started the process for the well permit, or do you have to wait for site plan review for that?
So we've been talking to the Rick Johnson from Armory Engineers. He was unfortunately had some personal things. He's getting that package finished up, and hopefully at the start of next week or midpoint next week, we can have that package all set to go out for bid. Hopefully, he's been kind of pushing it back, so we're gonna involve the necessary people to get him to finish this, and we can hope for that, or go with another choice according to whatever the architect wants to do. So
The thing's all clear through DP and all.
yeah, so
Yep.
we're still not going to be it's not going to be public water. It's going to be and we decided that we're going to keep it the well location where it is and
Same
not move
location,
it,
yeah,
so
in
that
case in the
just in
future,
case in the future. Yeah. Andy covered that last time. So yeah.
So CGA hired the engineer to put together the specs for bidding on that. So we're expecting, like Dan said, for that to go out next week. And then the contractor that is awarded that pulls the permit on it. So that's how that process works. And I was going to update schedule. We do have a draft schedule from the contractor right now, which shows using all 15 months that they can, per the contract, but that'll get tighter and firm up as they start performing their work now. So they just gave us a baseline to start with.
All right. Material testing, Briggs
So
vote.
we skipped over budget update.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
It's a touchy subject. Go ahead.
Okay. So in front of you, you'll see a budget update that looks like this, and it's a month-to-month budget update. And so this is to give you a snapshot of the changes you'll see on a month-to-month basis. So in the first column, I have all the line items that are in the budget. The second column is what the period ending was last month. And then you have your changes to the budget that happened during the month. And then that last column is where we fall at the end of our talk today, or the end of the month. So the only change that we had was that change to the builder's risk, which I've shown below. And then you have the adjustment to your contingency in line 31, which shows where our contingency is at the end of February 21, which is very healthy at this point in the project. I did put all this together this week and send this over to Kim Fales, and she's reviewed it and agreed with it.
Perfect.
And is on board on the way we're handling the budget. So that'll be the process moving forward. Anytime I make any budget updates, everything will be sent to Kim, and we'll coordinate on that process, so we're looking at the same agenda.
All right.
I also included, as part of with the budget, a payment submission recap. And so it looks a little bit different, but this basically tracks all the ins and outs during the project. And you'll get one of these each month as well, and this shows what's being spent that month. So what invoices are coming through the town this month. This month, we only had 3. I've sent those over to Kim and to David, and this is the document that tracks those as they go through.
You guys have any questions? All right, thank you, Taylor. I think it's so much easier to understand this way.
Yeah. To look at it in just a snapshot each month, it is.
Yep. Briggs vote, and material testing. You wanna explain to everybody
Yep,
what
so,
that is?
so on every project, you have a material testing company. It's a third party that the town hires. The reason the town hires it is you really can't have the contractor hire that company, because then it's the hen watching the hen house. So it's a company that the town hires to test concrete, test any compaction, soils, looks at the steel, the framing, every really inspection that the architect is looking for, and specifically the structural engineer. So they follow a statement called the Statement of Special Inspections, and the structural engineer outlines that for every project. And it's specific to structural items that they're looking to make sure are correct. So if we have any welding, any moment connections, UTS will come out and test those moment connections to make sure the welds are in place and that they're sturdy. So we got quotes from 3 companies for that process. Briggs was the lowest, and we've worked with Briggs on numerous projects. We're working with them now. They come highly recommended. They're one of really 3 or 4 that do the work in the area.
So they're already doing Dartmouth and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they know how we work. We know how they work. We have a good relationship. And again, it's they almost have a monopoly. These couple companies that do the work. It's usually one of these 3 that get it. So our recommendation at the time of getting the Briggs proposal in to the smaller committee was, let's move forward on this before we meet, because they're going to need to start testing soils and doing soil samples. So we didn't want that to hold anything up. So I sent this to Lisa, and I asked if we could approve it with the subcommittee, and I think just as a course of action, if the larger committee tonight could vote on the approval of the Briggs contract, we could move forward with it. We are carrying, to give you an idea too, we're carrying in our budget $50,000 for material testing. And the budget estimate that we got was $13,000 from Briggs. And now this is based off of a performance spec. What I did was estimate the number of testing that I think we would do, and sent it to them, and they said, here's a proposal for that number of testing. Now, that amount of testing could go up, it could go down, but at the end of the day, I think we'll be in like the $20,000 to $30,000 range, and there'll be a good savings in that budget that we're carrying for it, so,
Good.
yeah.
So can I have a motion to approve the Briggs?
So moved.
Do I have a s-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Great.
So
Um,
I have a question, and we're getting back to the payment submission recap.
Yes.
If we look down to number 28, utility company back charges, what's that?
So that, we really won't see too many here because most of our utilities are gonna be provided by us on site, but if we were gonna run power in to the site, National Grid looks for a back charge. If, it's what they cost to bring power to the site.
Okay.
Verizon phone lines will cost money to bring onto the site. So since we're a little bit different here and we're gonna be, providing our own water, things like that, that, I'm sure there'll be a savings in that line too. So any savings that is seen at the end of the project, or anytime we finish something, say all of our utilities are installed, and we've only spent 20 grand of that line, that 30 grand gets rolled into our contingency. It's a savings recognized, and that again, I'll show you how that works on our month-to-month budget line of where we have pluses and minuses. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Moving on to change requests. One of the things I wanted to discuss was When we have change orders, typically they're things that we need to move on quickly. And I'd like to recommend that the smaller committee be able to approve up to a certain amount before we have to bring it back to this committee. That way, if we have something that we need to move on quickly, you know, those people involved in the smaller committee can make that, that recommendation based on the larger committee, really, with our recommendation, sign off on, from us, the architect, and the engineers, of course. To give you an example, other towns use 20,000 or 25,000 before it comes back to the larger committee. It doesn't have to be that large, it could be smaller, but that's just an idea that we've seen in other committees.
Thoughts?
I don't have a problem with that.
It just, the project is already moving so fast, I really
Yeah.
don't wanna have to hold it up every time
Well, it
there's a
seems
change
silly
order,
to-
right,
yeah.
so.
What do you think's a good amount? Say 20?
I think 20 is a fine
I think
amount.
20 is fair.
Okay.
Go
And-
ahead.
and-
Go with that.
And typically, when
I was
it's,
just figuring how much, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, when it is a number that high anyway, it's, if it's something that's that much money, it's usually not one of the quick ones, so we usually have time to bring it back. It's just to cover you, just in case. It's
Sure.
usually the nitpicky things that, okay, let's just do
They
it.
gotta do it today.
Yeah.
And you're all involved deeply, you know, so I mean, it wouldn't be a guess, you know, I mean, you'd be well aware of what is happening.
Right,
you
and
know,
I think
so-
at the town side of it, we're still uneasy, like if Taylor recommended it and we still weren't sure, we'd definitely not do it and
Yeah.
bring it
Yeah.
forward.
I have confidence in doing it that way.
Right. What were you thinking?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the smaller committee, to sign off on change orders up to $20,000.
I'll second.
I second it.
And also with the caveat that we'll bring everything back to the committee for full review anyway, so.
Either way,
Okay.
right.
Correct, yeah. The committee, full committee will always get an update on everything we've done. Nothing will happen in a vacuum.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Anybody else? Hearing nothing, all in favor?
All right.
Okay.
Owner vendor update, we don't have a ton right now because we're just starting that process, but I will be starting the furniture process with the chief and the department. So we look for some updates soon on that. The biggest one right now is radios and the tower. And I've been speaking with our radio vendor, and we're gonna be setting up a meeting with you, chief, to get that going again, now that we have some numbers in on that. One thing that came up was the chief had a discussion with a gentleman from a cellular company who's looking to potentially donate our tower. And of course, there'd be a stipulation that the town gets a certain portion of footage on the tower to install their antennas. So myself and our radio consultant have started that conversation with that vendor to see if it's a real thing. Apparently, they did that in Swansea,
Oh,
and they provided the tower for free, which could be a, you know, $250,000 savings to the project if we can get that going. So that's the big one we're working on right now.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
A lot of people have talked about, you know, the problem we have with reception in our area, in the Sonnet area. And I've said how hopefully some of that's gonna be alleviated, and so they're feeling positive about it. Hope it does.
The tower will definitely alleviate some of it, not all of it, that's for sure, without additional work on other microwave points in the town, you know, or additional towers too, so. But we'll know more of that with the study that we're getting from Chick, so.
Well, if we save on it, maybe we'll have that additional funds to do something about that.
It could be, absolutely.
All right.
That's good.
The next item, town IT integration. This kind of goes hand in hand with number 7, and I spoke to David a little bit about this. I just wanted to understand who will be handling the town's IT side of things when we start to mesh them in with the police. So any servers that we need to move over, computers, that sort of thing. I handle a lot of that coordination, and I just wanted to understand kind of from the town side who would be doing that.
I did actually talk to Taylor, and I told him that Charlie Stockwell is our IT consultant, and whenever we have issues relating to you know, computers or upgrades or repairs, he's the person, but I'm pretty computer savvy also, so I can handle.
Any questions, then I'll go through you.
Yeah.
use Charlie up there too, chief?
Yes. Yeah, we haven't had any issues. I mean, he's installed servers,
Yeah, he's,
transferred data from old servers to new servers, installed firewalls, you know, basically everything you can think of involved at a police station he's handled.
And you're comfortable staying with him?
Yeah, the only concern I would have is availability.
Mhm.
Right, that was just what I was gonna say.
I don't know how many other how many other customers, what his schedule looks like, et cetera.
He has another full-time job somewhere else, right?
I think so,
Yeah.
but, so that would be my concern, but if David work out like, what do we need?
some kind of a protocol. or-
Well,
Yeah, I can,
it is something that we're gonna be talking about during budget season anyway, about IT. It'll be part of the line item, whether we, but it's not for this committee, but there's gonna be some discussion about which direction we're gonna go into,
I
so.
We
remember
actually
when the
currently
board
have an
looked at
inventory and we're
potential vendors in the
closing.
past, it was incredibly expensive.
It might be a regionalization kind of thing, so we don't know.
well,
But those are things that we're gonna start talking about. Because of, just to make sure that we're getting the best for what we need.
yeah, it's not critical now. It's
No,
just
it's
when
not.
when we start the process of talking about moving in and we're, you know, how does the town's side of IT, you know, mesh together with the police, and we start talking about wireless access points and wireless networks for the town, and so that becomes critical, and I'm just thinking ahead of the things that I know are, you know, can be sticky, so just one of the items I wanted to bring up.
Perfect.
The last item I had was we had a couple invoices that I did send over to David and Kim.
Is this sign done?
No.
Oh,
Sign.
yeah, actually, the sign, Dan brought a copy of the sign for review.
Yeah, I was gonna wait till open discussion to talk
Okay.
about that, but we can talk about that now if you'd like to.
No, we didn't, I didn't know if this was part of the invoice thing, so.
It was not, sorry.
Okay, that's fine.
So we really only had 3 invoices.
I borrow your pen for a second?
Another one?
And these were sent around to everybody last night, if anybody needs a copy, but I'll read them off. The first was for the owner's project manager, Pomeroy Associates, for $28,700, and this covers really the last portion of design and through bidding that we did. So this isn't any construction money yet, this is the last part of what we did for design and bidding. And then we had 2 invoices for local approvals. One was for printing of plans from Allegra Printing Company. This was when we had the plans printed off for $1,677.54. And then Project Dog, they're the company that handled all the bidding for the company, for the town, of $489.20 for a total of $2,166.74.
Right, can I have a motion to approve, the invoices for a total amount of $30,866.74, please?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, Dan, you wanna jump into that?
Yeah, so, if you look at these, this is just a draft of the
No.
police sign,
It's either
just
off or it
incorporating
gets
all the
into town
different
administrator.
entities. It's pretty basic, we can change around whatever people might think of. Color-wise, we can go with the police blue or something for the different fonts, or we can just allow the sign company to maybe make some decisions on that. So if anyone has any issues or ideas,
If you wanna take it back too and think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, and I
That's
think they should give us a rendering in color of what they're thinking of.
yeah, and I'm
Not
sure.
just,
actually-
once, when it comes down to that, I
If we send
wouldn't
it to
leave it
the-
up to them to decide the color of a sign.
No, the
It's up to
rendering,
us.
we'll send over.
Yeah.
And this is just the construction sign, so at the end of construction, it gets thrown away, unless somebody wants to keep it.
It would look good in your front, yeah.
Uses the board up the other building.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
use
the old
it
station.
to fix the holes in the current.
No, I think we'd actually send it over to the historical.
So,
Depends on the color.
What are they gonna do with all this stuff?
Are you gonna
People
go for
sending
the
them?
sign permit when you go for site plan review? Is that the plan?
Yes,
Lump it all into the planning board at the same time?
yeah.
so, maybe just take it, review it. I know we probably should get that to H.V. Collins, sooner rather than later, so they can get that all done up.
Yeah.
If you could forward a colored copy
Yeah,
via
I'll do
email, that would
that.
be great.
So,
Now, we all set on the site plan review in terms of who's doing what in terms of presentations and, okay.
Yeah, it'll be, Andy's team and his engineers, civil engineer that'll be there. I'll be there as well, but they'll be the ones presenting as it's their site plan.
All right, anything else? Oh.
This will be the easiest one yet, and then the
Yeah,
one,
I'm
the
like,
one when we
I was
open the
gonna say
building,
it's fast,
the one when
yeah.
we open the building, that'll be the second easiest, but.
Yeah,
Construction fencing, what's your timeline on that?
I will find out. I know that they wanted to get all the erosion control in first,
Right.
and once they get that in, so probably looking at a week and a half.
I think that what really helped move things along kind of quickly is that we started our meeting and we had a lot of questions for planning board and blah, blah, blah. And Kevin was actually available in the building at that time,
Yeah.
so we brought him right up to the meeting and we used him right away, and it really helped move things along.
Streamline the process.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd have to wait for another week and set up something, so I think we're really fortunate that he is available. We have asked him to attend those meetings, so in case we have any questions, up until the time that we don't need him anymore, but I think it was really vital to have him there, and it worked out really well.
Yeah, the town's been great in, giving us the go on, like I said, the building inspector and then Kevin with Concom. And, so they're putting in the silt fence and wattle, erosion control, just the way that, they told Kevin they were gonna do it and they agreed upon. So they're not doing it all at once, but they're focusing on the area, where you have, the water drain down into that swale and then under the street, so they've protected that. And then they'll work their way around the site, which is what they're doing today, and they'll get everything up top, so.
Exciting.
It is exciting. Anybody have anything else?
No.
No? All right. Have a motion to adjourn?
Move that we adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
you.